Hey guys, Wiz here, and in this video I wanted to try something different than my normal videos. I wanted to try and give you guys some tips. I've just hit 1,000 hours in Tarkov and I've just really been enjoying playing the game, and I'm still not the best, but I've gotten a lot better since I first started playing, so I thought I could maybe share some things to help you guys out if you're just learning the game or thinking about getting in the game. So my first tip is going to be to use good ammo, and you'll see what I mean when you're using a AK with PRS ammo and you shoot a dude 20 times and he doesn't die. If you want to kill geared players and even the raiders and the scab boss and all that, you have to use decent ammo. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend a lot of money on a gun. The Vepr Hunter is uses the same ammo that I'm using in the SARSAS, and it's not even a quarter of the price. The Mosin also has good ammo. You just have to know, like, there's so many different calibers and so many different ammo types for those calibers. I'm going to link a updated EFT ammo chart. You just want to look for ammo that has good penetration but also good flesh damage. A combination of the two is good. My next tip is going to be positioning, and it's a super important part of this game. Knowing what angles to peek, when to re-peek and when to not re-peek. Usually re-peeking is not a good idea. Spacing super important if you're playing with a squad. Like, these guys were just all stacked on top of each other. I usually try and always like reposition after I fire though, and here I was gonna flank and I ended up going back around, and it almost got me killed here. I almost got blown up by a grenade twice. So it's a good idea whenever you fire to move from that position and try and get a different angle. Using good cover too. I had this rock take cover behind at least, but all that stuff's super important. Also, getting the drop on people is very important. The time to kill in this game is so quick, so it's a lot of the times it turns into who shoots who first. So I heard these guys down here, and I came down here. I crept down with you can control your movement speed with caps lock and scroll wheel. So if you crouch and like turn your movement speed all the way down, people won't hear you walking. So I got the drop on him by doing that, and here I heard this guy reload, so I pushed him while he was reloading. Sound in general is very important in this game. Sometimes like the vertical audio is a little wonky, and I think they're working on that, but in general it's pretty easy to tell, especially if you have the headsets like the Comtacs or the Sordens. It's pretty easy to tell where people are. I would recommend wearing those. Map knowledge is obviously as important in Tarkov, if not more important than anything else. And I guess real quick, so notice how this guy was like strafing while he was shooting. I used to do that a lot when I first started playing. I guess like a habit from Hunt, but it's very inaccurate in this game. You can get by with it a bit when you're point firing, but you want to plant your feet and shoot for the most part. But back to the map knowledge, it's super important to know the maps. You got to it's almost as important as just having a good gun with good ammo, because if you don't know like where people can spawn, or where even just like obviously where you have to extract, there's no like in-game maps, so you have to kind of learn all that kind of stuff on your own. And there are like online maps you can learn, but there's a lot of different maps. They all play differently. You have like woods and factory and customs that are more like PvP maps. Then you have like interchange, shoreline, reserve, or like, I mean, all the maps are PvP maps, but it's shoreline and interchange, and all those maps are more loot oriented, where woods and factory and customs and stuff are more like PvP oriented. There's not a lot of looting. But learning the maps is important because, yeah, I mean, it's like any FPS shooter. You have to know like your terrain, the buildings, and how you can flank and all that kind of stuff. With that, I guess, comes the traders and leveling up the traders. A lot of the tasks for early levels are going to be on custom, so it's probably the best map to learn at the beginning. And you want to level up the traders though as much as you can, because if not, you're going to be buying things off the flea market for double the price of what they normally cost, because people like to just rip people off. So if you don't want to get ripped off, you definitely want to level up the traders. And the best way to knock the task out is go on the Tarkov Wikipedia, and there's literally a detailed, like, there's detailed instructions and like a map and all that for like each quest in the game. So it's super useful. That's what I use to complete all the tasks. One thing I've learned, if anything, people like to sit in one spot in this game and camp and like hold angles, and the best way to deal with that is grenades. It's really the only way to counter it, to be honest, because they have to move from their position when you toss a nade at their feet. So I knew this guy was somewhere in there. I tossed a nade over there, then I tossed one here, and he knew he had to move. So he finally pushed me, and I killed him. So using grenades to flush people out is pretty essential. My last 2 points are just gonna be real quick: looting and gear fear. So looting is something that I feel like you kind of just have to do. You just have to like do to get better at, if that makes sense. Like it takes a while, and like learning which items cost more than others and all that kind of stuff is super important. It's kind of hard to like cover just knowing like which items are valuable is the main thing, because you want to try and make it out of the raid with as much money as possible. And with that comes like, don't like be afraid to like use a good backpack, because you're just limiting the amount of money that you can make per raid if you're bringing in like a small backpack. Like bring in as big a backpack as you can afford to bring in, and you know, you can always go with the one I'm wearing in this video and just carry like the whole map with you. And with that kind of comes gear fear in general, and not and being afraid to like run good gear because you don't want to lose it. But you gotta spend money to make money, and it's easier said than done. Like I struggled with it when I first started playing too, but it gets easier. The better gear you bring in, the more likely you are to have a good raid, in my experience. So don't be afraid to bring in good gear. Even if you're dying, as long as you're learning from those mistakes, it's not a loss really, and you're more likely to have a good fight with gear than you are to just get one tap without armor and you know you can't even react. So lastly, this survival kit is so clutch. I would recommend getting one of these inside of your container, because having blacked out limbs in this game is no fun, and if you have a blacked out stomach or something, like you'll die of dehydration pretty quickly. And so yeah, having one of these is essential. It's honestly one of the best things they've added to the game, in my opinion. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm sure I missed some things. Mainly just don't get discouraged, because Tarkov's a really, really hard game. But if you stick it out, it gets easier. And it's super rewarding because it is so challenging, and you can't just pick it up and just automatically be good at it. It's super rewarding because of that. Yeah, hopefully this video helps some of you that are just getting the game or thinking about getting the game. I definitely wish I would have known a few of these things when I first started playing. And I stream this game every day on Twitch. Like I play it way too much, but feel free to stop by sometime and ask me any questions that you might have. I definitely don't mind helping you guys out as much as possible. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully this video helps some of you. Let me know in the comments things maybe I forgot in the video, or just in general, like your thought on the video. Thanks for watching, guys.